Over 1 year ago, I sat down with one of Pokemon Go's top grinders in the entire world, Fleeceking. Getting to look into his account was mind-blowing. Shundos, transferred shinies, XP count, truly it was a humbling experience. But where is he today, and what does his account look like after all the major updates to the game this past year? Today we sit down with him once again to see how much he's done and how drastically Pokemon Go has changed.
And we're back literally a year and a half later, dude. How you doing? How's the weekend?
I'm exhausted. 20 hours to get here to New York, so as soon as I landed, jet lag, then we're just straight into huge days of grinding and catching up with people. It's always worth it, but yeah, I'm just super exhausted, but happy to be back.
Yeah, if you could sum up your GoFest grind weekend, how hard did you go this weekend?
We dedicated ourselves pretty heavily to the event. So for those who don't know, the event raids, like the Necrozmas and all the Ultra Beasts, those raids actually start at 5 a.m. Like they're not eggs, they're just ready to raid at 5 a.m. So some of the locals that I know were picking me up at my hotel every morning at 4:50 a.m. And we just started when the raid started. So we were car grinding, and they obviously know the ins and the outs of all the streets. And we were just timing it so when we were in range of a raid, we just all jump in at the same time, and the raid would start immediately because there was 20 people. And we went to 8 p.m. every night. So we were doing 5 till 8 p.m. 3 days in a row. So
oh my God.
I am absolutely gone.
It is a grind this weekend for sure. And it's been a grind over the last year and a half. I want to look at, because where we left off, we have your stats of where you were in December of 2022. So I want to compare and see the progress that was made between then and a year and a half later now. So
yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't even know. So it'd be interesting to kind of go over it.
Cool. Okay, so you're level 50. That didn't change. All right, so let's look at kilometers walked. So here, pull up that badge. Last time we talked, you were at 35,489 kilometers walked. You're now at 47,000. You've walked over 12,000 kilometers in the last year and a half. How many miles is that? How many miles is 12,000 kilometers? Jeez, that is 7,450 miles. That's insane.
Walking too much.
So it's been a lot of that. That's nuts. So I'm assuming when you're home too, when you're home grinding, you do a lot of walking around the city then? Are you every day just kind of out?
Yeah, every single day. I would say on average 20 something kilometers every day. But that's the whole precedent of my streams. It's just walking around Sydney Opera House and the Botanical Gardens and all those areas in downtown Sydney, and it's just exclusively just walking pretty much the whole time.
Sick. Well, definitely with 12,000 kilometers, that's cracked.
Bam, 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 bam. The Shiny Luck is finally live. I'm so excited to announce this. We are finally launching it. Look, there's literally boxes everywhere, piles and piles of boxes, because the Shiny Luck merch, including hoodies with a green patch, t-shirts in black and white, and mystery pins in booster packs, which are so cool. You have a 1 in 3 chance of getting a fire red pin, a water blue pin, a grass green pin, or 5 chance of getting a shiny rainbow pin. Community Day shiny odds. And we've got the hats, although we have 98 of these available, so they're probably already sold out when you're watching this. But check, the link in the description, mysticgrips.com, will take you to the website to grab your packs, to grab your merch, to get your Shiny Luck up. I cannot wait for all of you to get all of this in hand. It's so good. It's so good. Link in the description. Good luck with it.
Let's look at your collector medal. This is gonna be a really, really cool one. Okay, so this is total Pokemon caught. The last time we talked to you, you had 1,959,000. Oh my God, you'd have 2.7 million? You've caught nearly 1 million Pokemon in a year and a half. What? So did your focus change to catching Pokemon? How did you nearly double in a year and a half?
I mean, catching is always been primarily my goal always with this game, and that's obviously the context to me having so many shinies, so many hundos is yes, obviously a lot of it is RNG, but it's the fact that I'm catching and playing more than most people. But I just feel that's something that's always stood out to me. Obviously raids are now limited and a lot of things are limited, but the one thing that we've been able to always do is just catch Pokemon. It's the whole purpose of it for me. So it's always grinding out those numbers. I feel if level 50 was the final goal, then a lot of us would be bored. So it's just always catching, because that's Stardust, XP, shinies, etc. So that's just always been my primary focus. Yeah.
Sick. Okay, that is obviously shown by the data. That's insane, dude. 1 million freaking Pokemon. Okay. All right, breeder. Oh, this will be good. The last time we talked, you had hatched 42,000 eggs. We are now at 66,000 hatches. Have you gotten anything crazy from the eggs in the last year and a half that you can remember?
Actually, yes. I hatched my first ever Shundo from an egg of all time. It was a Shundo Togepi from a free incubator. I was at the gym and I'm just walking from one machine to the other, and I opened my game and I'm oh cool, shiny Togepi, thought nothing of it, and I was that's a Shundo. Yeah. So yeah, finally got my first Shundo in 60,000 plus eggs, which is kind of
That's
crazy.
one for 60,000 on Shundos.
It's pretty bad, honest, to be honest. Pretty bad.
Oh my God. Meanwhile, I got 2 in one weekend at GoFest. No. Next thing we're looking at, which is gonna be an insane stat. Let's look at XP. We left off at 1,836,000 XP. We are now at, dude, there's no way you almost doubled. 3 billion? How did you get 3 billion XP? How is it even possible? 1.2 billion in a year.
I just play this game way too much, Brandon. You know that.
For sure.
I'm just playing way too much. I still Lucky Egg, like Best Friends, Ultra Friends, Evolutions, Raids, all that stuff. I'm not going to say like it's Lucky Egg 24/7, but I try to align it with things where I know like I'm doing a raid hour, or I'm going to accept like my 5 remotes or whatever it is. So it's just, again, for me, it's always a numbers game. And just watching the numbers go up, it's just always been a motivating factor for me. So above and beyond, let's go for 10 billion at this point.
That's insane.
It's just full sended.
Do you have an XP goal like in mind, or are you kind of just playing to play?
No, I don't. Like I don't. Like 3 billion was never a goal. You know, just as much as like 2 million catches was never a goal. It's just like that hustle of just wanting my numbers to go up, because it's just always about the grind. Because again, if level 50 was the only goal, then once you got there, other than shinies and stuff, you're kind of done with it, I would just get really bored. So it's like always like just pushing numbers, keeping myself accountable to personal goals, and that's like the motivating factor for me. Otherwise, yeah, I think things would just get stale otherwise.
Yeah, makes sense. And then with XP and XP grinding over the last year and a half, have any strategies changed or any new updates come about that have made XP grinding like more efficient, or has changed the way that you played or accumulated XP?
I mean, like everything's fundamentally the same. I think it's just more like taking advantage of XP events. Now that they finally, after a billion years, decided that we could put a Lucky Egg on whenever we hit Ultra Friends or Best Friends with someone without having to coordinate that.
Right.
Like that's just such a simple thing. I feel like should have been done ages ago, but now that's just saves so much time, and we don't have to sit there like coordinating, because obviously a lot of people, you know, you've got that one Ultra Friend or that one Best Friend, you're just stuck on one day for like a month because nobody's like making the effort to like coordinate, nobody's opening, nobody's sending. So like I feel like I'm getting a lot more XP from Best Friends now, which is good. So
okay, so I want to pop through some badges on your profile, just kind of rapid fire some stats. Where's your raid badge at? The last time the normal raid badge was at 24,000. Jeez. 30, easy little 13,000 raids in a year and a half. That's awesome. Did you get anything crazy from like the regular raids?
Can't think of anything spectacular.
Okay. Are you just doing these more for XP, or are there actually things you're targeting?
I mean, there's like always those boosted like 1 in 64 shinies in the tier 1s. Like we had the Dusk Rock Ruff come out, and like things like that, where they're just super easy to do. You don't need anybody for them. So whenever like there's a raid where I can do in person, I'll just do it because I can. You can get like Rare Candy and Rare Candy XL from tier 1 raids. It doesn't have to be a tier 5, so there's always that incentive of like, maybe the raid itself is crap, but I could get all like XP and Rare Candy, Rare XL Candy. So I feel like in person, and especially playing in such a big city with so many gyms, it's very easy for me to just walk and make that extra effort to go and do all of them in person. So
sick, like why not kind of thing. When we look at legendary raids, we left off at 40,000. All right, 15,000 legendary raids in a year. That's more than the other raids. So obviously legendary raids, way better to grind, I assume.
Yeah, they're always the priority. More XP, significantly more meta relevant. There's obviously like new shiny legendaries that get put through like Necrozma for GoFest and stuff, which is actually useful. I probably feel like this number would be bigger if they didn't have the remote raid limit, but I think it's incentivized me to like just make that extra effort to walk to the ones in person if I can in the city, because I know that like I'll get the numbers to do them, I can invite people. But yeah, it's kind of a stupid number, but you know, it's just a stupidly high number, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Okay, so and then with rating, because obviously rating I think has been like the biggest point of conversation for both feedback, negative and positive in Pokemon Go. Last year, 2 years. How has rating changed, if at all, since we last talked?
It's a conversation that I know we've had so many times as a community, but I just feel like the remote raid limits, like not only a limit of 5, but doubling the price, has just really killed the online and global communities for raiding, especially like, as you know, like a lot of the Discord chats and all these things that were just for raids and hosting raids have just like kind of become redundant, unfortunately. And like, it's sad to see, because like for me, like when I go to these events, like yes, it's we're all in person, but it's a result of the online and global communities that we built through remote raiding.
Right.
So yeah, to have those limits and the prices, like it's just hurt a lot of communities, I think. And it sucks for me because one of the pleasures that I get being in Australia is like we get events first, like we get raid bosses first, and being able to like host raids for people around the world and give somebody their Pokedex whatever or a shiny whatever. And now it's like everyone that I'm inviting is either capped or they don't want to spend double the price, which is fair enough. I guess for me, the way that I handle it is like, I'll just make an extra effort if I can to go to them in person, if I'm in a position to do so. Like, it's like, maybe before I'd be like, oh, you know, whatever. But now it's like, I think it's just worth making that extra effort, but I'm in a position where I can.
Yeah.
But I'm sensitive to the fact that not everybody can, you know, like you might have 5 raids around you, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean you're able to do them, simply because you don't have a community or you don't have enough people to invite. So it's definitely hurt a lot of the hardcore raiding community, whether that be in person or globally. What can you do?
Yeah, insane. Yeah, that definitely is probably the biggest change that's happened since we last talked, but we'll get into that in a second. I wanted to quickly fire through some more stats and badges, and then we'll talk about some more like bigger picture things and poke around your account a bit. So Rocket Grunts, the last time we talked, 19,400. 31,000, have you changed, done more, done less with Team Rocket, or is it kind of just the same thing?
No, I mean, like, honestly, some of my favorite events in this game are the Rocket events where it's like you can remove frustration, there's like shadow shinies released in the team leaders and all, like those are some of my favorite events because it's like it's something that we can all participate in. It's like it's a free thing to do, and like shadow Pokemon are stronger, they're better than regular Pokemon, so there's always that incentive to like hunt as many down. Like they've got Shadow Gibble and like so many things that are actually meta, as well as things that are good for PvP. So like I've always had the incentive to do that because it's not something like you can randomly get on an auto catcher. It's something you can't trade for. Like Shadow Pokemon are exclusive to Rockets and being able to obtain them. So like, yeah, I've always had that incentive. I just feel like it's a win-win all around. Yeah.
Sick, okay, cool, love that. All right, now, because you had a ton, you had 443 million trade distance last time we talked, and that's insane. Bro, 668, what is the math on that? That is 225 million kilometers in trade distance since we last talked. Okay, that's insane. Speaking of trades, how many trades are you at? You were at 100,000 trades pretty much on the dot last time we talked. Okay, an extra 35K in a year and a half. That's wild. Are you trading more or less?
I'm trading less, to be honest.
Okay.
I'm just like, the cycle of trying to do 100 trades a day is very repetitive. It's very slow.
Even after they did the speed up with it?
Yeah, it's just very slow. And I do like 5 trades now and I'm like, yeah, I'm done. I just get so bored. I mean, obviously it helps if there's like an event or a new Pokemon and like Mum and I, like most of these are like Mum and I, we just do like trades over coffee and stuff every morning. So it's a good thing to like kind of pass the time and clear out our bag. And obviously when we have like seasonal bonuses where we have, you know, guaranteed XL candy every trade that we do. I feel like that should be a permanent feature, by the way, but that's a whole other discussion.
I completely agree.
I obviously do these when I'm stationary and when I'm with somebody to do them. And like half the time when I get home from streaming and playing all day, I'm just like, oh, I just don't want to sit here doing the cycle. So I've slowed down a little bit on it, but obviously like events like this I've been trade capping every day because like I've got regionals, they've got regionals, there's event Pokemon I actually trade for. It'll be the same thing for Global Go Fest and like any event where there's like new Pokemon actually grind for. But I guess in regular circumstances, it's tough to be motivated.
Next, research tasks. 163,000 in December of 2022. Are you a research wizard? Dang, bro. 218. That is 55,000 field research tasks done in the last year and a half. Would you say that's a lot or a little? Slowing down, speeding up?
I feel like, I don't know if it's necessarily sped up or less, but like I love research tasks. I don't know why, I just feel bad deleting them. I don't know, I'm just like,
it's really satisfying,
I can do this.
You know?
Yeah, again, it's something you can do for free for the most part. It's always something to do with like throws or powering up Pokemon, and like obviously there's event tasks that come out where there's incentive to actually do them. But yeah, I feel like it's one of those things where I love watching my numbers on all my medals go up, and this is just one that, you know, if you again like live in a bigger city like me with lots of Pokestops, like why not? But I just feel bad. It's like you power up a Pokemon 5 times, the reward might be lackluster, but I can do that in like literally 5 seconds.
Right.
You know, and if you just have that mindset all the time, the numbers just keep climbing, and it's just I kind of just do them even if the reward isn't necessarily great, because I know a lot of people will keep and do tasks if the reward is good, and fair enough. But for me, it's like if it's easy, I'll just do it. You know?
Right.
So yeah.
Right. Last time we talked, best friends, you had 555. Where are you at right now with your best friends badge? For context, adding people on your friends list and leveling up your friendship with them is from what I know, correct me if I'm wrong, the best way to gain XP for free
Absolutely.
in Pokemon Go, if you have lucky eggs. Even without it, it's still like a way to rocket ship.
Because that's the thing, like at that point, it doesn't matter if you're more of a rural player or a casual player. Like that's something that all of us can do for free. If we join like Discord groups, online communities, Twitter, like whatever it is, like it's just so easy to add friends.
Right.
And like we can all do that now that we have a max of 450.
Right.
Regardless of what your XP goals are, that's just so much XP you can get for free.
Right.
Just by sending and opening gifts, and like you obviously got your scatter bugs and encounters from like
Yeah.
postcarding. So
Oh,
there is a lot of incentive, and again, like it is free at the end of the day to do that, which is good.
And you got 2? Oh my God. Okay, so I see expanding the friends list definitely made a difference here. Okay, so mathematically speaking, if it's 320,000 XP, assuming you're lucky egging every time you level up somebody, per best friend, and you're at 896 best friends, that means here's the trick here with XP. Just through the friendship feature, you have lifetime gained 286 million XP just through best friends, or just through friends.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And in the last year, I mean, you probably gained, what, over 100 million XP just in the last year from friends alone, because you almost doubled this.
The problem with the 450 friendship increase is that they haven't increased the amount of gifts that you can open, send and hold.
Weird.
So it makes no sense. Like in my mind, if you're going to increase the friends list, you should also increase the amount that you can open a day, the amount of gifts you can send a day, and the amount of gifts that you can hold. So while it's good to have more friends, we've got the same limits. It just
Right.
doesn't make any sense. But
Yeah, huh? Weird. I hope they expand that at some point, because you're right. Like even for rural people who can't send raids or do trades with people to do friendship, gifting is the only way to do it. You know?
yeah, and I
So-
mean, for a lot of people, they rely on gifts for like Pokeballs
Right.
and all of these things, and it's like it would help so many rural players out if they could, like, if we have 450 friends, you can't even open 100 gifts, you can't even open 50 gifts.
Right.
You know,
right.
it's not even a quarter of the amount.
Do you know what the limit is right now?
I think it's like 30 a day.
That's insane.
Yeah.
450 friends, 30
You
a
can
day.
only open so there's so many people on my friends list that I don't even get to interact with.
Right.
Because either they're capped on opening or I'm capped on opening. So like the best way in the past, like before the remote raid limits, was just like invite a bunch of friends and get all those interactions through the raids. But obviously like that's kind of limited as well.
Right.
But yeah, it's something that I hope that we see in the future is like if we have an increase of friends, which is good, like it's definitely a positive, but ultimately being able to send more, open more, and hold more means that we're interacting with more and more people, which means we're hitting more and more best friends, which means the cycle continues and we're able to be more efficient with it. So
Yeah. I want to just thumb through your badges and just kind of like see where all the stats are at, and ask you a couple of questions as I'm kind of rolling through this. So
Okay.
some of the badges we've already seen, but okay, now in the last year and a half, right? We talked in December. How has the game changed? Like maybe some big ways of how it's different now versus then, if you could remember.
the shadow raids that got introduced are super hype and exciting, but only if you're actually able to do them.
Right.
So I feel bad as someone who, again, lives in a big city. I know that I'm in a fortunate position, and I'm not. I'm very sensitive to the fact that most people can't do them.
Right.
So it hurts when like I stream like a live event for like Shadow Shiny Mewtwo, and I have people in my chat tell me like, I'm watching you because I know I'll never be able to do one. And like that's just sad, you know.
Yeah.
I just hate hearing that because then I'm not in a position to be able to help people. Like I can't send an invite, I can't like join somebody's invite, you know. So I don't know what the balance is there. I understand that they're trying to encourage exploration, but I think there's a way of encouraging it without necessarily forcing it. I think incentive is good, but I think like having that limit where it's like ruling out potentially millions of people, it just hurts.
Right.
So I think like me and JT Gilly talked about this a while ago. Actually, I suggested like a healthy balance would be, let's just say I see a Shadow Mewtwo raid, for example, on my nearby raid list. I can't like use a remote pass or whatever, but if I walk to the gym, as soon as I'm there, then I can invite people.
Yeah.
So then it's kind of a win-win because it's like it's encouraging exploration because I'm walking to the gym.
It needs to be a physical host, basically.
Yeah, does that make sense? It's
Yeah.
like I feel like that's a really healthy compromise. Like if I'm at home and I see a Shadow Mewtwo on my nearby, I can't like do it or like join it from where I am. But if I physically walk to the gym and get there in person, I have the assurance that once I'm there, I can invite people to help out. So I'm helping people by inviting them because they get to do the raid. And like, I have the assurance that once I get there, I can do it because I'll have the people to help me.
Right.
Because I feel like that's a win-win. I'm helping people get in. There's so many people that might have like 5 Shadow Mewtwo raids on their nearby. But if you know for a fact you can't do them, why would you even bother walking them? You wouldn't.
Right.
So like, I guess like that, like finding some sort of a healthy medium between encouraging exploration, sure, and encouraging in-person communities to like congregate and battle down the raids, all for it. But how do we simultaneously support and give further access to the online and global communities to people who can't do them for a variety of reasons?
Yeah.
You know, so like that's definitely changed a lot, you know, and then obviously like, again, I'm not necessarily against there being a remote raid limit. I think I've like kind of become a little bit rational in that. In the beginning, like I was like super outraged like most of us were.
Right.
I'm not necessarily against there being a limit. It's the fact that we've gone from no limit for like 3 years to 5, by the way.
Yeah,
like,
5's low.
That's crazy bad. Like that's not even enough for a raid hour. You know what I mean? Like, so like even Mum and I, like we'll try and do a raid hour, and like especially for something like Lugia or Reggie where it's like a relatively bulky raid boss, and like we invite 5 people and 4 of them are capped and we don't know who's capped. Like even that, it should just blank out the people who are capped, because then we're just wasting time inviting people who can't even get the invite.
Yeah, that'd be an easy feature.
It's very messy, you know? So it's like, yeah, look, I don't mind there being a limit, but make it something like 20 a day and bring the prices down to what they were. So I think we're dealing with a double issue at the same time, which is there's a limit of 5, and then there's an issue of the fact that it's double the price.
It's crazy that they did both of those at the same time. I still can't believe that.
Yeah, and it wasn't like a slow burn either, you know what I mean? It wasn't like...
Rip the Band-Aid straight off.
Yeah,
you know?
it's just, you know, like, and I get that remote raids were introduced during the pandemic, and can I just say, give credit where it's due, that they did a great job on that. Like, that brought so many people to the game, it brought so many people back to the game who dropped off in 2016, and it really built the online and global communities into what they are today. There were Discord groups, and I'm sure all of you guys can relate to this, where I was a part of, like, people were hosting their raid hours, and like, and you know, everybody would thank the host, like, thank you so much for hosting for us, we appreciate, like, that
it was really vibrant.
But it doesn't happen anymore, you know, because like 5 a day, like, you know, like there's obviously more than 5 raids being done just in a raid hour alone, let alone throughout the entire day.
Right.
And like, obviously like, not having a limit as well, it gave people that flexibility of like not just doing legendaries, but you could do that random tier 3 or that random tier 1 raid for your unique raid medal, for potential like the boosted like 1 in 64 shinies like a Alolan Raichu and Absol and all these things. So it's like now you can only do 5. You have to be very judicious in like what you're doing, because you can only do 5.
I'm a pretty hardcore player. I don't play that much on the weekends now, just because of how my work schedule's changed.
Yeah.
And like, I don't even, when I see a new Shadow Legendary boss, I don't even think about it. I'm like, I'm not gonna get that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even try, you know? It's like wild with that. Well, so question with you on kind of like the changes that were made. So how has that changed the scene of the game for like the more hardcore community? And what has changed for the hardcore community when it comes to like grinding and strategies and okay.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Like for better and for worse, obviously.
In relation to all the raiding, like obviously a lot of the hardcore raiders have hit a limit on really how many they can do, obviously.
Right.
And I think the anchor that a lot of hardcore players have had is like, we always turn back to catching Pokemon, because that's something you can do for free, you know, regardless of whether or not you live in a big city. Like there's some like rural towns that have like massive clusters, especially like gas stations or even like a McDonald's. There's like, why is there 50 Pokemon at McDonald's? I don't know.
Right.
So like, that's the thing that I think a lot of the hardcore community lean on, is like, we might have a boring event and we might be limited to the amount of raids we can do a day, but at least I've got catching. They've changed AR quick catching. They just completely got rid of it.
Yeah.
And like, just listen to this, the irony here, an AR company removing AR.
Right.
Does that make any sense at all? And they didn't even give an explanation. But there's a very simple fix. It's either give people the option, like you can turn it on and off as you please, or speed up the animation when you click on a Pokemon in normal mode to match the speed and efficiency of AR. Right. And like, it's only like about 1.5 second difference or 2 second difference, something like that. But if you stretch that out in a 3-hour community day, it really adds up. It adds up big time.
So I wanted you to show what has been your single craziest catch or trade or pickup since we last talked. And we're also going to be revealing the Stardust count now compared to last year, which was 337 million.
I would say like my most memorable and like something with like a huge history behind it, and a story behind it, and we talked about it on the last video that we did, and
It happened.
it finally happened.
It happened.
So for those who don't know, Rayquaza is like top 3 favorite Pokemon, favorite legendary, favorite shiny legendary, and I just could not get the Shundo of this thing, and it took me 186 lucky trades to get this Shundo.
Oh my God.
Right, and the odds of getting a Shundo from a lucky trade, or the odds of getting a hundo from a lucky trade, is 1 in 64. And I just went above and beyond for this one. But the story behind this and why it made it memorable for me was Osaka last year for Pokemon Go Fest. I met up with a lucky friend, a Japanese player, who I'd been lucky friends with for a few years through remote raiding and etc. And she didn't speak a word of English, so we had to like communicate through Google Translate. And like I showed her what I wanted for trade or whatever. And as soon as I went Shundo, like, even though there was a language barrier, she saw it, she's like, yeah, there's like, she like guessed because like, she just knew exactly what it was, and there were a few other people there, and they were like bowing, it's like, congratulations.
Wow, that's
crazy. It was such a cool moment, but the cool thing about it was not only that, but it was on the day that Mega Rayquaza debuted for, yeah. So my Pokedex entry, Mega Rayquaza was a Shundo.
That's insane.
So it was in Japan,
oh my God.
In Japan, on the day of Mega Rayquaza for Pokemon Go Fest. And it was like, it took so long, but I'm glad that it was like a happy story, like literally in Japan. So that's kind of the highlight, yeah.
Okay, that's insane. And then also too, Stardust, 547 million. That's nearly 200 million gained since we last talked a year and a half. Also, how do you have 10 meteorites? Wait a minute.
When Mega Rayquaza was available for the in-person Go Fest, I think there was a small chance of getting one like per raid at the time. Oh, and because I did so many. It was pretty rare because I don't know how many raids I did at the time, but I remember that you could get them at random.
Okay, that makes sense.
Those raids, yeah.
Oh my God, okay. So
and the reason, by the way, I should add context, the reason why I have 180,000 Rayquaza candy is not because I got that exclusively through,
I didn't even see that, 180K? Wait, yeah, how?
So, like, for a long time, this was exclusively what I put rare candy into. Do I need them? Absolutely not. But, like, I just thought it was impressive to have, like, a stupid amount of any legendary, because that's more than like like Pidgey candy.
That's more than, yes.
So like when we were able to raid unlimitedly, I was like, you know what? I don't really need anything really. So like every time I would just like put all of my rare candy into this as just a bit of a flex. So that's,
wow.
Yeah, I don't need it. It's excessive. It's kind of pointless, but it's a random flex. And like, I always thought that if I ever do get a Shundo Rayquaza, when I show it, there'll be a stupid amount of candy to kind of go with it. So
right.
Yeah.
That's okay. Well, that's insane. Now, I also want, I cannot believe it. I want to look at total shinies, 4,191. Now, it might be kind of an interesting stat because last time we talked, let's see, where were we? We were at 3,691. So only a couple hundred shinies since, but I'm assuming you've transferred a bunch.
Yeah, thousands. That's the cycle.
Thousands.
That's the cycle. It's like every community day I do, it's like I'll catch, 30, 40 shinies, and then like I delete like most of them right after.
That's insane.
But what am I gonna do with them? Like it's just, you have to be, for me who's catching so many Pokemon, I am forced to be picky in like what I keep. I can't keep everything. I try to be mindful of the fact that people want certain things for trade, so maybe a shiny might not be valuable to me, maybe it might be common to me, but there might be somebody in my community that like really needs that or really wants that. So I try to be mindful of that, but again, we can only do, for the most part, one special trade a day. So I'm limited on how many I can give away. But I'm telling you now, if I could trade 50 shinies to someone in one sitting, I would do it, no problem.
Yeah.
It's just the fact that we're limited on how many of that we can really do.
Right, right. Oh my God. Okay, so that's shinies. Now, what about shadow shinies? 177. You were at 52 last time. You've over tripled your shadow shiny count. Is this what you're saying? Just like less raids, more Team Rocket, or?
Like I've been fortunate enough to do a lot of the shadow legendary raids since they've come out.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
We have a big community to like kind of coordinate that with.
Right.
God bless Mom. She will get up at 5 a.m. and come into the city with us to do them. Like my mom gets like really excited, like, oh, like Shadow Shiny Raikou, and she will get up on a Saturday, and she'll get up early and like come into the city with us. That's the thing. It's like it's a family thing for us as well.
Yeah.
So there's been a few times where like a new Shadow Shiny Legendary will come out, and like we'll be sitting at McDonald's at like 5:30 in the morning having a coffee, and we're all excited to go and do them.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, we've definitely made a huge effort to go and do as many as we can. But yeah, like obviously a lot of like the rocket events outside of that have come out, and I'm always grinding like the components and getting the shadow, and like shadow shinies from grunts as well is a thing. But yeah, I haven't missed the shadow shiny legendary yet. I've got quite a few of them. I've gotten every single one.
Yeah, geez. Okay, and then you cool with showing Shundo?
Yeah.
Okay, sweet. So now, obviously, the king stat right here for a lot of us like Big Daddy grinders. Well, jeez, dude, I didn't even think about this. 1,968 100% of your Pokemon. You had 1,362. Do you transfer hundos?
Yeah, all the time.
Okay.
I have to.
That's insane.
I have to.
Okay, so there's that. Now the Shundo. 43 up from 23. You've nearly doubled your Shundo count in the last year and a half. How has that happened?
A lot of luck, a lot of trades. You know, like there's nothing that really you can do to like obviously predetermine something happening, but like I'm always trying to hit lucky friends with a lot of my locals because it's just trades that I can do with people in person.
Yeah.
Every time I go to these in-person events, I'm lucky friends with so many people. So it's just about being efficient and like coordinating with people and figuring out like what time to meet and all that sort of thing. Because if I don't like kind of make that effort, there's a lot of lucky trades I could do that I'm simply not doing. Because that's probably your highest chance of getting a Shundo realistically is from a lucky trade, because you're guaranteeing that what you're getting is shiny. So it's just re-rolling the IVs at that point. Whereas like, even on community days and stuff, it's like the IVs are like pretty random unless like a hundo gets called out by somebody in the community, which happens a lot, which is great. But I mean, obviously like there are hundos that are way too far for me to get to, like walking to them or whatever. So like, yeah, obviously raids, but we're limited to how many we can do. But lucky trades are definitely the, like in general, just as a piece of advice, the easiest way to get a Shundo.
Sick.
I mean, there are trades that I've done like that Latios where I literally did one lucky trade for it. I did one because I just wanted it for the lucky decks.
Right.
And it was a
Got
Shundo.
the Shundo.
Yeah, first trade, yeah.
Funny question here. Do you support JT Gilly purifying his Shadow Shiny Mewtwo into a Shundo Mewtwo? Because I noticed
it's questionable.
You purified your Shadow Shiny Metagross into a Shundo Metagross, and this is one of the best steel types in the game as a Shadow.
Yeah, so the reason I did that...
Caught him red-handed.
But thanks guys, thanks for tuning in. So the reason I did that was because my brother had a Shundo Metagross for like a year and would always flex on me.
Yep.
And that was my first ever Shadow Shiny. It was like 13, 14. Like it wasn't like a 90 something with 15 attack. And I thought, I'm like, you know what? It does have a future Mega, and you can't Mega Evolve Shadow Pokemon. So I was like, life's short, I'm doing it.
This was your first ever Shadow Shiny?
Yeah.
It was a Shundo?
Yeah. Of the Beldum.
Okay, got it.
Of the Beldum specifically. And then a little later on, I ended up getting a second Shadow Shiny Beldum, and the stats were 15, 10.
Did you keep it Shadow?
Yeah, so I maxed that to level 50, so like my justification was, well, it has a future Mega, it's like a super meta-relevant Mega.
Yeah.
You can't, like, I wouldn't recommend like going around and purifying Shadow Shinies, because it's like most of the time you want to keep them as a Shadow, but I was like, I'm just gonna make an exception on this one. I love the Mega, and then I ended up getting a really good 3-star Shadow Shiny Metagross anyway, so it's like kind of got the best of both worlds now, yeah.
I wanted to ask you, how has your relationship with Pokemon Go changed in the last year and a half?
Dramatically.
Okay.
So I think the last time we talked, I was doing the 2,000 catches a day kind of mindset.
Yeah.
I was trade capping every day. I was raiding a lot more because of the no limit. I've gotten to a much healthier point where I don't even really track how many Pokemon I'm catching every day anymore. I'm not trade capping anymore. I think like I felt like I built a reputation for myself where, you know, this guy's got a certain amount of stats and he's catching a certain amount of Pokemon a day. And I guess like for a while I was like trying to just like continuously like live up to that, and I was competitive with like other players, like in a friendly way, of course, like accountability or whatever. And just, I don't know, like I can't really tell you like what day it was, but just like over time, I just feel like I adjusted not caring as much about numbers, which I feel like is more liberating for me. I think I'm focusing more on like building my like socials, like my like communities, whether it's like Twitch, TikTok, like whatever. So like even, you know, the last time we were talking, I would catch a bus into the city that would take longer, but I'd get more catches along the way.
Right.
And I would stream less ultimately
Right.
because I was focusing more on stats. Whereas now it's like I've readjusted that. So it's like I catch a train into the city that only takes like 25 minutes and I'm streaming for longer and spending more time like growing my community, which I feel like in the longevity is more important to me. I think my values have changed too.
Yeah.
In terms of like even with the in-person events, I don't want to be that guy that's just got his head down. Like, I don't want to talk to anyone. It's just about shinies.
Yeah.
Because like, I'm not going to care about a shiny unknown that's 28% IV
Right.
in a week, you know?
Right.
Like, what I'm going to remember is like these types of things, like having conversations with people, meeting people, putting a face to a name with people I've raided with over the years, or people that have been in my Twitch chat, people I follow on Twitter, and I just feel like that's more valuable in the longevity. So I'm like gotten to a much healthier stage now where it's like, I am more than happy to compromise on the amount of Pokemon I catch in a day or the amount of shinies I get in an event if it means I'm doing more with people. You know, like it was like, and hardcore grinders I'm sure can relate to that. It's like, there are like social like events that I've like kind of declined because I'd rather like catch or pursue an event. You know, there's like a new shiny that's come out for an event where I'm like, I refuse to go home until I try to get it, you know? It's like,
Right.
now I'm like kind of a little bit more okay with like missing out. Because like, in my opinion, it's like, if you had every single shiny in the game, every single hundo in the game, every costume, like, what's there to like really be excited about? You know what I mean? I think it's good, if anything, to not have certain things. Like, I have like Bombardier, shiny Bombardier. I've done over 300 raids for. I don't have the shiny.
Really?
I don't have it.
Really?
It just, and like my
That's such a
whole
random
whole
one.
community makes fun of me. They send me screenshots of it. I'm like, yes, I get I don't have the shiny. Thank you for your encouragement. Yeah, I don't have it, but it's like, and my mum has 2 of them, and she's offered to trade me one. I'm like, I'm good. Like, I don't trade really for shinies I don't have unless it's like a costume or like an event exclusive thing.
Right.
But it's like, in my opinion, like for the longevity, and I know so many of us have like motivational issues with the game. You know, sometimes we don't even feel like picking up the game or the events are stale, whatever. So it's like, I can wait, you know what I mean? It's not gonna
Right.
hurt me. Like, it's good if anything. It's realistic to not have every shiny in the game.
Yeah.
And like, I'm more than happy to wait for certain things now. But yeah, I think I'm, to summarize it, I think I'm just at a healthier point now. Like, I'm obviously playing and like I do care about my stats ultimately, but it's not at a point where I must hit a certain number
Right.
every day or I must get a certain amount of shinies every day. Yeah.
When it sounds like you change your content strategy to reflect that, how has content changed for you and where can people find you?
So I stream on Twitch, like that's what I've been doing for, it's actually coming up to my 4-year anniversary in August.
Let's go.
So I've been doing that for 4 years, and that's like my job really. But recently I've started doing things on TikTok because
Okay.
I just can't believe how many people are on that.
Yeah, right?
It's just the exposure is just unbelievable. So I've basically gotten into a new rhythm where I'll do my Twitch streams normal during the day and I can connect with my community over there. Then I'll take a break and just recoup a little bit, and then I'll do like another stream on TikTok a little later on to connect with a different demographic of people. And it's crazy, like the new Shiny Lavesta event came out,
Yeah.
and I streamed for 5.5 hours on Twitch. And it was fun, connected with all my regulars. They're just amazing people. And then I took a break and I did the same thing on TikTok. I did a live stream on TikTok. And I did 5 hours again, so I did 10 hours of streaming. It's a lot, like walking around as well. It's a thing that people don't get. It's like very exhausting.
Right.
But in a good way. I enjoy it. But in 5 hours, I gained 1,000 new followers.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So like, there's just like that to me, like that's my motivation. It's just like growing my socials, like growing the community, because like, as you know, like Pokemon Go can be super up and down for like content. Your motivation for it can be up and down. You know, one moment you're motivated, the next moment you're not. Niantic makes some good decisions, some bad decisions. Like, it's very, like, it fluctuates. But I
Right.
think ultimately the longevity of like growing a community, so like whatever the next project is, like for you it's like Pokemon cards, and like you started doing that, which I think is admirable. And like it's super fun, right? But like to like explore different niches, like whether it's within Pokemon or something else, like growing that community, like whether your passion dies or the game does or whatever it is. I hope the game never dies, by the way.
Yeah.
I hope it keeps going. Yeah, like whatever the next project is in your life, you'll have like hopefully a community of people to go along with you. And like to me, that's so much more important than, oh, I caught 2,000 Pokemon a day.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't give me the satisfaction like it used to. And there's
Right.
nothing wrong with it. Like, our passions will change. Something you like were very driven for a year ago, you might not be driven for now. Yeah, so I feel like I've definitely shifted to a lot more long-term goals that are not necessarily just about like in-game stuff. I'm not saying it's not valuable to me. Like obviously I still care about stats, but it's not controlling me mentally anymore.
Right.
Which is so freeing. And again, like
Nice.
growing my communities, like so TikTok and Twitch or whatever it is, I just get so much satisfaction out of that. And then like when you go to these events, like people coming up to me and saying that they enjoy my streams and wanting to grab a photo, like that, to me, that's just so much more valuable than saying I got 6 shinies. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? So like, yeah, the priorities have shifted for sure, and it's just I think we have one of the best online communities for sure in gaming, because it doesn't just remain online, but it transitions to like in person. Like, not for everybody, obviously, and I'm very sensitive to that, but like when you go to these events and you see how many people show up to them, if they can, you're like, man, this is just so much more than just like numbers online. Like, these are real people that are here, you know. And like, again, like putting a face to a name with people we connect with online, people we've seen like for you in like YouTube comments, or like we're on like streams or whatever, and like being able to meet the people that have been supporting, like that's just such a humbling thing. So that's, the priorities like definitely
Man of the people, you know?
Yeah,
Man
it's so good, man.
Okay, show me what the craziest stat or Pokemon rarest, craziest thing you've got in your account is.
Crazy.
And if you haven't followed him already on TikTok or Twitch, his links will be in the description below. Please give him a follow.
I
Flesh
appreciate
on the whole community right now.
Okay, so I hope everyone is paying attention to this. Okay, I'm going to show you the rarest Pokemon. You ready?
Yep, that's it. The number 1 in the whole world.
Ready?
You're not going to do this again.
I've been waiting
you
to do this for so
can't do this again. No way.
Yeah,
no
there's one.
Way.
There's one. Are you ready, Brandon?
Dude, are you doing all of them?
There's 2.
Stop. Stop.
And then number 3. I've been waiting. You have no idea. I've been waiting so long. And number 3.
This guy's evil.
It's in the bin.
What is this?
But I'm making sure this time that I keep 1. That was the mistake.
Yeah, thanks.
I'm trying to get 100 Pseudo Wood back just so I could delete in front of Brandon. Subscribe. I don't know what you're doing, but
oh my.
I promise you I'll keep the 1. But 3 Pseudo Wood down. They're gone. They're to the professor. See you later. Brandon's feeling good. We can see he's feeling good.
Oh my.
It was worth it just for this.
Give this guy a follow and a subscribe, and put some prayer hands in the comments for Sudowoodo down below, please.
Oh,
Thanks for hanging out again and chatting, dude.
Oh man.
See you guys next time.
Thanks, guys.